people are abducted because their mother or their father was an abductee. So it's intergenerational, and it begins in infancy and goes through old age. So people are abducted frequently over the course of their lives, over and over and over again, from the time that they're babies, and we know that because parents are abducted with their babies and describe their babies being abducted when they are not abducted. And all siblings are abducted as well, unfortunately.
Any scientist at some point is going to say, okay, we've done this now, so when are they going to stop, and why don't they stop?
Right. Well, the implication, the assumption of what you're saying is an assumption that all UFO researchers, including me, made for a very, very long time, and some still do, and provided a kind of vocabulary for us that people still use, and that even I, when I slip sometimes, will use. And that is the idea that this is an experiment, a study, a learning situation. They're probing, they're pinching, they're finding out things. There is really no evidence for that at all. What there is evidence for, however, is that this is a systematic program which has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and which is goal-oriented. We do not really see experimental or study situations in terms of the common abduction material. And when people are given an examination, which is, of course, what is known most about the abduction phenomenon, we used to think that the examination was the reason why people are being abducted. In fact, from what I can tell, that is virtually never the reason why people are being abducted. It's always preliminary to the real reason for their abduction event that particular time. We've also begun to learn a little bit about what this examination actually is and what is entailed in it, because it's such an odd examination. It has very, very little to do with a regular physician's exam. And I realized after puzzling over this for years that what these examinations primarily are neurological examinations. That is to say, they're examining nerve endings in a person's back and spine and here, there, and everywhere, as opposed to what we used to think, which was bones and muscles and all that. I think there's a part of that that's true, but it's primarily a neurological examination.
Okay, but it's an examination.
Well, it is, but it's neurological, which means that they have a very great interest in neurology, and ultimately what I found anyway is that this is extremely neurologically based, and of course that goes without reason, because you can't have an abduction phenomenon without a neurological control of somebody. In other words, when people are abducted, they're rendered passive instantly and immediately, so that they can't run and scream and call 911 and wake up their wives or husbands or grab a frying pan or whatever.
The aliens look deeply into your eyes from about 2 inches away, you say.
They do that, but even before the abduction event starts, when a person realizes, something's happening, it's already too late at that time, even before they make their appearance, usually seconds before they make their appearance. But the point is that they can turn on that neurological control from a distance. Now, we don't know how much the distance is. I'm sure it's not more than 6 trillion miles, and it's probably more like feet, but they can do that. And then we began to hear these stories of these beings who are staring into people's eyes.
All right, but you say it's sort of like a mind scan.
Well, I invented that word, and it's the world's worst word, and I just hate to hear it, and I cringe every time, even though I made it up.
Sorry, let's talk about neurological manipulations, which gives the aliens the ability to enter into people's minds.
Right.
Why?
Well, what I've learned is that when I first began to hear these reports about how they're staring into their eyes from a distance of an inch or touching forehead, and the person who's having this done to them can't close his or her eyes, they can't look away and all that, they're just staring straight ahead as well. It occurred to me that what is happening, and there's more evidence than what I'm saying for this, there's all sorts of other anecdotal evidence for this happening, is that they're hooking into the optic nerve and using the optic nerve as a conduit through the brain, through the optic chiasm and the lateral geniculate body and into the visual cortex and around into other neurological pathways for various reasons, some of which are reproductive, some of which place images in people's minds, some of which, well, there's what I think is also neurological conditioning. There's a whole series of reasons why this is done. But the point here is that it is a neurologically and reproductively oriented phenomenon. Those two go together. and they make up the core of the abduction phenomenon. Without the reproduction, there would be no abduction, and without the neurology, there would be no abduction phenomenon.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but what's the end point? Why are they doing this? And once again, aren't they doing it repetitively? In other words, I think what you're leading us to is they're not examining us, that it's a factory of some kind.
It's assembly line-like. Yes, it's get them in, do it, get them out. And it's over and over and over again. People will have scores of abductions. People sometimes will have, let's just say, 5 abductions a year. And let's just say a person is 40, and they've been happening since infancy. In other words, the numbers add up very, very quickly. And I would say that the vast majority of abductees have this kind of situation, at least in the people who I've investigated.